Sugar soliciting reactions. President Uhuru Kenyatta has asked U.S. investors to make Kenya their investment destination. And energy regulator has criticized interior PS on crackdown on business. Now to a top business story of the hour. Employees of Mumias Sugar have vowed not to allow Kenya Commercial Bank to take over the sugar factory. According to the Mumias Sugar Company Acting Managing Director John Shindui, the management has already received the letter of receivership from KCB. However, they have requested more time for consultation with the board and the leadership of the area. Mumias Sugar Company was placed under receivership on Tuesday by the Commercial Bank of Kenya. In a statement, KCB says this move is expected to protect the sugar miller's assets and to maintain its operation. The sugar company owes KCB loans dating back to 1972 when they first secured a 10 million shilling loan and took more loan facilities between 1972 and 2014, amounting to more than 3 billion shillings.
Receiver manager na kapeana makaratasi yale ambayo yanatakana kutoka kotini, tukapatia wa legal associates akaangalia, akasema kweli haya ni makaratasi ya kutoka kotini.
President Uhuru Kenyatta aliform task force ambayo ingefaa iangalie revival ya sugar industry na pia Mumias Sugar ikiwemo. Hiyo report ya task force haijatoka, na the same government, kwa sababu KCB ni benki ya serikali, the same government tena inatuma watu wa KCB wakuje wachukue kiwanda cha Mumias Sugar. Wiki 2-3 zilizopita, the same government ilituma KRA kukuja kuangalia vile wanaweza auction mali ya Mumias Sugar.
Serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta tunaipea notice wajue ya kwamba wakazi wa Mumias, viongozi wa Mumias, civil society, hatutakubali mtu yeyote aingie katika factory ya Mumias kuchukua factory hii akijifanya kwamba yeye ni receiver manager.
Now moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has asked U.S. investors to make Kenya their investment destination of choice in Africa. President Kenyatta, who spoke at a private sector forum hosted by the American Chamber of Commerce and attended by tens of top executives from leading U.S. multinationals, said Kenya is seeking sustainable business partnership with American corporation. Kalan Jenga with this report.
The president said his administration's Big Four agenda, particularly the manufacturing component, where the government's plan is to lift the sector's contribution to the economy from the current 8.4% of the GDP to 15% by 2022, offers limitless investment opportunities for U.S. companies. The manufacturing sector presents major opportunities for local and foreign investors in areas such as agro-processing, through value addition in key value chains such as textiles and leather, the maritime sector, construction, iron and steel, and oil and gas.
We should be at least in the top 30 countries in the world in terms of doing business. So the promises that we made in terms of reforming our environment were not just mere promises. We have actually executed a good number of them. Kenya is still a land of huge opportunity. Africa is still a land of tremendous, tremendous opportunity.
President Kenyatta, who spoke at a private sector forum hosted by the American Chamber of Commerce and attended by tens of top executives from leading U.S. multinationals, said Kenya is seeking sustainable business partnerships with American corporations.
We want your partnership, especially when it comes to helping us create jobs, because the biggest asset that we have is also our biggest risk. That is getting our young people employed. And for those of you working in Kenya, you will recognize that we have a work culture in Kenya. We're not scared of work. The problem is finding decent work.
The president told the executives led by Scott Eisner, president of the U.S. Africa Business Center, who is also the senior vice president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, deepening the relationship between Kenya and the United States is critical, especially with corporations such as the ones they represent, which drive and sustain the relationship. Alongside manufacturing, the president said food and nutrition security, affordable housing and universal health coverage are other priority sectors with huge investment potential.
Partner with you to create an environment where your business succeeds, and as your business succeeds, you help us create opportunities for our young people. We want to focus on ensuring that we are able to provide adequate health, adequate affordable housing for those who can't afford.
Besides the 4 priority areas, the president invited the investors to explore opportunities in ICT, infrastructure, tourism and the blue economy. He advised the American business community to pay particular attention to Kenya's financial sector, where the country is renowned for its world-class mobile money solutions. The president noted with satisfaction the steady rise in the number of American companies setting up business in Kenya in recent years. He said the Kenyan economy is robust and that his administration continues to progressively implement policy, market and infrastructure reforms that guarantee a thriving business environment. The head of state listed the Mombasa-Nairobi-Naivasha standard gauge railway line and the new Lamu port as some of the mega infrastructure projects implemented by his administration to enhance the business environment in the East African nation. Caroline Jenga, K24 Inside Business.
Now moving on, stakeholders from the East African community are now calling for more integration in a bid to reap trade benefits. However, investors are now saying that despite ESA being one bloc, it's not easy to do business. Jimmy Mbogo got an opportunity to attend the forum and joins us with more details.
Well, indeed, thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to Sarah. Yes, we are at the that is the EAC Trade Integration Summit that is currently being held here in Nairobi, just looking at ways of improving trade among East Africa community country. And one of the, we are currently now joined by the PS in the Ministry of Trade, that is Dr. Chris Kipto, to elaborate more to us about some of the issues that they will be looking at in this two-day forum. Dr. Chris, thank you so much for speaking to us. One of the things that has come up in the first part of the session is the issue of tax, and also, so how do we improve this? How do we make sure that we make it easier for Kenyan traders and other East African traders to get their goods across borders?
Thank you very much. This is a conference of 3 days, starting today to Friday, and it's a conference being held as part of marking 20 years of existence of East African community. When the EAC Treaty was adopted or signed in 1999, 5 years later, we adopted the first pillar of customs union, which brought together, the 3 countries, all the 4 countries, now 5, and Sudan is coming on board, but 5 countries are within a customs union, where we have one common external tariff of 25%, 10%, and 0%. So we are, and then we have gone through. In 2010, we have adopted a common market. And we have now enacted a law for bringing into being a monetary union and ultimately going into a political federation. The rallying call of East Africa is one people, one destiny. So it's a reflection now to say in the last 20 years, how have we done? And clearly there is a lot of progress that has been made. Trade has improved between the 2 countries compared to the period before.
All right, Dr. Chris, there's also the issue that a lot of traders in the country, one of the key things that they have complained about is that Kenya has opened up its borders, but they're not receiving the same reciprocation from other East African countries.
No, those trade disputes are on, and we have had several meetings. With Tanzania, we have had a lot of meetings with Tanzania, with Uganda also, we have bilateral engagements, and these engagements have been at the presidential level. Our own president has been having those bilateral discussions. Good progress has been made. In fact, we were in Arusha recently to review the progress. And clearly, we see a lot of non-tariff barriers have been resolved. Just the latest is confectionery goods to Tanzania, which now are moving into Tanzania freely. But before, we had a challenge. And so, we are very much alert to this, and this is one of the things we are reflecting here in this conference. Why is it that we are still having non-tariff barriers in a community that aspires to be one people, one destiny? We cannot improve our competitiveness if we are making each other not being able to trade freely. Yet the rest of the world is growing. That is why in the last 20 years you will see that while trade has improved or grown, intra-regional trade hasn't grown as much because we still have a lot of non-tariff barriers here and there.
All right, Bonacius, we've also seen the likes of South Sudan trying to come on board and also join the EAC community. What does this portend for Kenyan producers, for Kenyan manufacturers, as well as other regional manufacturers?
It's good for Kenya because if EAC is now embracing South Sudan as a member of the customs union, that customs union will bring in the discipline, and therefore a lot of goods will now go to South Sudan from Kenya on a duty-free, quota-free basis. And that is good because that means we will be more competitive than now, where we have to pay, our goods have to pay tariffs in South Sudan. So it's good if the security situation in South Sudan improves. We expect Kenya to do well because they have always done well anyway. All along since South Sudan became independent, Kenya has been the great pillar. We have our Equity Bank, we have KCB, we have so many traders in South Sudan. And we expect that more trade in the direction of South Sudan will continue. Even Sudanese also will begin to trade more with Kenya.
Okay, Bonacius, there's also the aspect of delayed clearance at the port, be it by KRA, be it by the other officials that deal with custom issues. How do we address this as a government, and what are you currently doing as the Ministry of Trade to ensure that goods that are shipped into the country are cleared in good time?
I think if there are any challenges, they are not as they were before. A good now that clearance time for a truck to move from Mombasa to Uganda, it used to take 14 to 15 days. Now it takes 4 to 5 days. This is very much improved. Dwelling time at the port, what we call ship turnaround, have all improved. And so I can say the clearance time has improved. There are only a few challenges. And what we have done recently is actually to remove all the agencies at the port. And we have only left Kenya Revenue Authority and KEBS to be the only ones at the port, working also with KPA to ensure that there is clearance. All the other agencies will work, provide back-end services, and we expect that this will improve drastically.
Thank you very much, because again, this is actually, if this can be actualized, it will portend for a bigger that is customer base for our Kenyan producers. Indeed, this is a conversion that we'll be following keenly to be able to see how it unfolds and how we Kenyans and Kenya as a country can be able to tap into this East African market to improve the living standards of our people. But for now, back to you, Sarah.
Now, thank you very much, Jimmy, for that interview. Now, today's discussion will focus on the retail chain. Now, retail rivals Quickmart and Tumaini have commenced merger deliberation, which will effectively lead to joint operations by the close of 2020. The unprecedented move by the respective supermarkets was triggered by the capture of a controlling stake in Quickmart by Sokoni Retail Kenya Limited, which is incidentally the majority shareholder in Tumaini. Joining us to discuss this and more concerning the retail sector is Wambui Mbarire, who is the CEO of Retail Trade Association of Kenya. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Most welcome.
Now, what is ailing the retail sector in Kenya, especially when it comes to our local chains?
I would not say there's something ailing the retail trade. I would say we are at the door of renewal. We are at the door of change in retail as it has been done traditionally. We are looking into new ways of modernizing retail. There have been challenges, we do not deny that, and the challenges have been largely created by the nature of our retail. Retail in Kenya is traditionally a traditional retail. I like to say that second to agriculture, it is then the next big thing in terms of employment. Reason being, most people who finish school and do not go straight into campus or colleges, we'll do some agriculture. If I grow 10 sacks of potatoes, I can only consume one. I then end up retailing the other 10. So it becomes the next thing into retail. So, and that's how the retail grows. So I'll open a kiosk at the bottom or at the entrance of my garden and start retailing. And then I'll move from doing potatoes, I'll bring in maize. Then I think, well, I can now do unga. And then shortly, I have a shop that then grows into 1 to 60 branches. And then you have a retail outlet.
All right.
So it's the challenges of transiting the retail that we've had from informal retail to formal retail.
Okay, so most of the challenges that we've seen, Nakumatt, Uchumi, suppliers are not being paid, and meaning there is no credit in these particular chains. So what can they do, even putting in mind that Tumaini and Quickmart are merging? What can they do going forward to ensure that these particular brands can be able even to compete with these international retail chains that are coming in?
When you see something like an outsider putting in money into a retail chain and consolidating it and buying into another chain, it shows you that we're starting to have corporate governance, because that has been the challenge in our local retail. So that shows that two things are happening. Once, there's consideration and taking in the importance of having corporate governance within any structure for it to grow. That is one. Two, it means that we're not looking to just gaining numbers in terms of how many branches do I have under my name. I'm looking to grow organically. I'm looking to streamline my operations so that I have greater efficiencies within. And those efficiency include cash flow management, which then has an impact on paying suppliers on time.
All right, and Tumaini and Quickmart, when they actually do merge, they've said 2020, when they actually do you think they're even in they'll be in a capacity to actually compete with these international brands? We're seeing Carrefour coming in and taking up all the space that Nakumatt used to occupy. So how will they ensure that they can be able to compete fairly?
You see, that merger is already the beginning of being able to compete, because it means you're putting your resources together, you're looking to see where our challenges within this whole chain, so that we improve on them, be it in terms of inventory systems, be it in terms of staffing skills, so that you actually are playing on a level playing ground. And we like to say the international players are not coming to compete with local. They're coming to fill a gap that actually exists. The size of our country can allow us to have, I mean, Naivas and Tuskys together jointly probably have 120 branches right now between the two of them. But we can easily create another 120 branches of retail still. So, and they're probably 2%.
All right.
There's a perception that it's a competition and, oh dear Lord, they will run out of business, but no. They're filling in a gap that exists, and there's enough of market for all.
Fine, it's okay for them to fill in the gap that exists, but at the same time, we are seeing our own brands closing down simply because there is no cash, poor management. That's what can we do to ensure that such instances don't happen? Ibrahim's, we've seen Nakumatt close quite a number. We've seen Uchumi falling in the same step. So we do not want, like later, we see Quickmart and Tumaini who have merged and are falling in the same.
So let's go back again. I said it's a renewal, not the end. It is a new beginning, so to speak. So one, everyone is awake to the importance of corporate governance. That has been a great challenge. The second one is putting in structures. So there's the way I ran my shop when I had one shop. I cannot continue doing it the same way when I have 20 shops. So that awakening that, okay, it's a family business, yes, but we do not own all the skills that will make this a success. So there's putting in place the structures, buying the correct inventory systems, because then one of the largest challenges in retail is shrinkage. And shrinkage is loss, which is greatly internal, one, and secondly, a collusion between suppliers and ourselves being the retailers. So if we can put in systems that manage those two challenges, retail will definitely continue to grow.
Okay, and when it comes to actually support, because Nakumatt was really seeking for support, but at the level that it had reached, it seems there was no support. It tried to merge with the Tuskys, but it was not possible. So are there strategies that can be put in place to support these local retail chains to ensure that even if they can spur and grow our economy. At the same time, we can have this particular retail chain across the border away from Kenya?
One, Tuskys wasn't looking to merge with Nakumatt. They were looking to support them with the suppliers to continue supplying and ensure that they don't have empty stocks. Support will start with us. We're working very hard to inculcate training because the one thing we lack in our country is retail training. So people who do retail are people from other fields who come and learn on the job. So we want to create our own curriculum to ensure that people who are running retail understand how to run retail. And the reason is it's key is, especially in terms of financials, retail is a business of volumes. Our margins on average 1.5 to 3%. If you're doing 4% and above, you're doing really well in retail. So if you put that and then you put shrinkage, which is caused again by lack of proper system, and shrinkage goes anything above 2%, you're definitely going to be making losses and you will not survive. So again, looking into how do we manage our cash flows based on what the margin that we have. That is one. Two, how do we rationalize both location and stocking within our retail? Why am I opening a next branch? Why am I opening it here? Does it make sense? Will the numbers add up? Should we not open it? That is one. Why am I stocking 20 brands of sugar in this particular outlet? Do they all go? If they don't, what do we remove? What do you keep? So rationalizing everything around the stocking items, the location items will go a long way towards making retail successful.
All right, thank you very much. Wambuo Bariro, she's the CEO of Retail Trade Association of Kenya, and we've been speaking about the retail chains and the challenges that is facing this particular sector. Now, moving on, the Kenya Energy Transmission Company, that is K24, is stalled construction of electricity transmission line from Ethiopia to Suswa. Now, through the Parliamentary Committee on Energy, legislators have accused the company of failing to compensate affected families in Naivasha, leading to the current 4 months crisis. Linda Koskei tells us more.
Within 30 days, the Parliamentary Committee on Energy will issue a report of all the projects undertaken under the Eastern Electricity Highway project in order to establish why some of the projects have stalled. These emerged when the committee held a meeting with families affected by the project at Maraigushu village on the outskirts of Naivasha town.
Sasa shamba yake ni kwota imechukuliwa yote na barabara. Lakini ile pesa ambayo inatakana kulipwa haiwezi kupita kulingana na ile kiwango ambayo imewekwa. These are some of the things, maybe is one special case that we might look as a committee and recommend that you look for a place for her to be able to relocate.
The residents raised concerns over forceful acquisition of their land by the transmission companies, among them Kenya Electricity Transmission Company K24.
Kwanza hiyo signature yenu ndio tunataka kujua sana. Hiyo ya kukataa value, hata hiyo tunataka kujua ikiwa ni nyinyi mnaongea uongo ama ni wao.
Na tukaambiwa huko bungeni tupitishe ya kwamba serikali inaweza ingia kwa shamba yako, kama ni mradi ipite muongeage baadaye. Hiyo reli unasikia ni karibu bilioni 300, ingeatugharimu ya less than 150 billion. Lakini kwa sababu ya mashamba na wale kuitisha, wakaitisha hiyo pesa.
Committee member and Nyandarua County Member of Parliament Faith Gitau accused officers from power companies of undermining the projects by failing to follow the laid down procedures. On his part, committee chairperson David Gekaria said the matter should be probed before it gets out of hand. Linda Koskei, K24, Inside Business.
Now moving on, various industries set up in Molo town are on the brink of collapse following the collapse of the Londani-Molo railway line that was once the lifeline of the region. Now Kenya Multi Limited factory is among the industries that has scaled down its operation in the area following the collapse of the railway. Lack of business has affected the area residents, forcing them to look for alternative ways to make ends meet. Caroline Jenga with this report.
Molo, the once vibrant town, is now a pale shadow of itself following the collapse of the Londiani-Molo railway line. Various industries that had set up along the line are struggling due to lack of business, leaving the residents with no source of income. Kenya Malt Limited Factory is among the industries that has scaled down its operations in the area following the collapse of the railway line. The high production of potato had seen the Agricultural Development Corporation establish a cold storage facility for farmers, but the factory has since collapsed.
Vipanda mingi sana ya Moro iliharibika kama hii yetu ya hapa hii ya breweries iliharibika, ADC line hata hiyo iliharibika, nyumba za reli nazo ziliharibika.
In the early 70s, Molo town was an agricultural and business hub with a rich history, rich culture, and even rich people. The railway line had opened up the region to investment and trade. Traders and passengers used to plight the route in search for greener pastures as they sought to make the best out of their hard work.
Fare yake ilikuwa kidogo, hata ukikuwa na ukiwa na mizigo mingi, tulikuwa tunaenda tunasafiri mzuri. Fare ilikuwa kidogo sana, sasa sisi wana biashara tuliathirika, hata tunashindwa, wengine hata waliwacha biashara kwa sababu hii gari ilikuwa inatusaidia.
The main rail system has remained unattended for years, with locals making away with metals, especially at the main bridge. The railway vandalism has seen rails and sleepers stolen over a distance of approximately 2 kilometers. The line, which saw the growth of Molo and Mau Summit towns, is also choking with vegetation. Peter Njuguna, a border operator, said traders used to benefit a lot through the railway line in its heydays, adding that there was a flow of cash from transporting of fish from the lake region and also other food items from the region.
Na nilikuwa naona ikisaidia wamama wa soko, sababu walikuwa wanaenda Kisumu, anachukua kama ngwashe, viazi vitamu, wanaleta Molo, wanatuuzia na sisi tunapelekea watoto nyumbani.
Tabitha Njenga noted that companies have closed down due to lack of business brought about by the rail system, calling on the government to ensure the rail is revived.
Sasa wakiweza sasa irudishwe, tunaweza furahi kwa sababu hata tunaweza endaka Kisumu, tunaleta mizigo, tunaweza toka hapa tupeleke mizigo Kisumu.
The move will also go a long way in improving the lives of traders and farmers in the area. Caroline Njenga, K24 Inside Business.
Now on to agricultural matters. Now horticultural farmers risk losing a significant portion of their 113 billion annual earnings if a petition to ban harmful pesticide is passed in Parliament. The petition seeking to outlaw the use of some harmful pesticide could have adverse effects on the quality and quantity of the country's exports. Stakeholders in the agribusiness subsector said the bill, if passed, will increase the cost of production and raise levies charged on farmers. Linda Koskei tells us more.
Players in the horticultural sector have raised concerns over the petition that seeks to increase levies charged on movement of horticultural produce, saying additional cost and complexities will hurt small-scale farmers.
With an introduction of an additional levy, then most probably that will increase the cost of food. So there are issues such as those that we feel need to be addressed through increased public participation and of course consultation with the relevant stakeholders, so that we do not have a situation whereby at least over 4 million smallholder farmers who are actually involved in horticulture on a day-to-day basis.
Last week, Uasin Gishu Women Representative Gladys Bose Sholei filed a petition in Parliament which seeks to withdraw 262 pesticides and herbicides from the market, saying that the products are harmful to the environment. Sholei said arguments by manufacturers that the users must wear protective gears before using the chemicals does not work in Kenya, where most of the users are small-scale farmers who live below the poverty line.
This will be a problem. We won't be able to produce enough that gives us the surplus that goes to the market.
However, according to manufacturers, protective gears are mandatory in manufacturing companies as the components might not be harmful, but it's used for hygiene purposes as well as to protect the farmers from long-term usage of the pesticides. The players, however, said agriculture is a devolved function, but the government has not drawn the line on how the national and the county government should regulate the sector. Linda Koskei, K24 Business.
Now, thank you very much, Linda Koskei, for that report. Now it's time for Market Watch. Let's take a look at how the shares are performing at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We want to look at the top gainers and losers of the day and see how your shares are performing at this stock. Now, top gainers of the day, we have Kakuzi. Price share 423.5, and percentage change of this particular share is at 10%. Number 2 is TPS Serena, which comes in at which has a price share at 21.10, and the percentage change of this particular share is at 9.61%, and Liberty Kenya is at number 3, and the price share of this particular share is at 10 shillings, and the percentage change is at 9.41%. These are the top gainers of the day. Let's look at the top losers of the day. We have Umeme at 6 shillings, price share is at 6.04 cents, and the percentage change is at negative 9.58. Everready is at 0.95, that is 95 cents, that is a price share, and the percentage change is at negative 5.94%. And we have Trans Century, which is at 3.2 price share, and the percentage change is at negative 5.88%. These are the top losers and top gainers at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now let's take a look at how the shilling is performing against other major currencies, and we want to see the performance of the shilling against other major currencies. The dollar, how it's performing. The dollar is buying at 103.72 cents and selling at 103.92 cents. Sterling pound is at 129.34 cents buying and selling at 130.10 cents selling. The euro is at 114.06 cents and 114.31 cents selling. The rand is at 6 shillings and 96 cents. Buying and selling at 6 shillings and 98 cents. We have the Tanzanian shilling, which is at 22.06 cents, and we have 22.20 cents selling, and the Ugandan shillings is at 35 shillings and 31 cents and 35 shillings and 47 cents. And that is how the Forex is looking at. And this is how we wrap up Inside Business, the last word in business. My name is Sarah Adam. Up next is Newscast with Shiksha Arora.